Okay, well, we're back, and we want to talk about this RUTGERS college bus that actually come through the community and pick up the students.
We pick them up, and the students are then brought to the New Brunswick campus in the auditorium.
Yes.
And they are told that here's what we're going to offer you. You're an 8th grader.
Sure.
According to your teachers, your parents, and to your own report cards, there's potential. If you will make an agreement with us, hang in with us, we're going to give you resources.
Sure.
You'll meet mentors who will be college students who look like you. You will meet real professors.
Wow.
We will give you all kinds of resources. We'll tutor you in the tough courses when you're not doing well.
Sure.
From your 8th grade till your senior year in high school. And then, after you have done all of this, and you start applying for colleges, and we're every year going to keep saying to you, you've got to go to college.
Sure.
College is going to change your life.
Sure.
And if by the 12th grade you say, I want to apply to RUTGERS, and if you get accepted, and we're going to do everything to make sure that you get accepted, you will then have your bachelor's degree fully paid. You will be able to live on campus. All of this free.
Wow.
So that we can look back at RUTGERS and say,
Sure.
we have looked at students in these communities.
And that's 4 years, just to remind the audience.
That is
4
years.
Fully paid.
In fact,
books
it could stretch out to 5 years, because sometimes things happen in life.
Sure.
And maybe students it'll take them 5 years. But when they graduate, they will have no loans, they will have no debt affiliated with going to RUTGERS University. And we would like to, Reverend, be a model for other colleges.
Sure, without a doubt.
And universities, not only in the state, but in the country.
Sure. Let me ask you this here. Where, and I guess, I don't want to jinx the project.
Right.
But where did the money come from for this?
Well, that's what's kind of fascinating. To be a good corporate neighbor, we carved some of the money out of our RUTGERS budget.
Okay.
Even though our budget is being cut by the state and by the feds, we believe this is important.
Yes, it is.
We go to corporate people. We had a man who stepped up, a donor, who was so excited about the first group of RUTGERS scholars, started in 2008.
And how many graduated?
And no, they
just
started right now.
Okay, so I probably met them over at the campaign thing with when Bill Clinton came.
Oh, we had a whole bunch of the scholars there. So last year we brought in 25 students from each of the 4 communities. So that was 100.
Now name the communities here.
Again, it's Piscataway.
Okay.
Because we have our campus on Piscataway.
Sure.
It's New Brunswick.
All right.
It's Camden.
Yes. And
it's Newark.
Wow.
So last year for 2008, we brought in 25 from each of those towns. So that's 100.
Sure.
The gentleman pledged $100,000 to the program last year. He came to the big ceremony this year and saw us bring the 25 more from each of these communities. He pledged another $100,000. So if there is anyone watching this show who says, I can't do $100,000, I want to give $500 to the RUTGERS scholars, and I am going to do it in increments of $50 a month, we'll take it.
Sure.
We'll take it, because this is, and the one thing we have to all acknowledge, we're going to pay for these students one way or the other.
Sure.
We're either going to pay for it in a productive setting like a college or university, we're going to support them while they're in prison, we're going to pay for it one way or the other.
Yes.
So if we can do it in a positive vein, that's what we want to do.
And that right there is the most important thing, because if we pay for it in prison, then when they get out of prison with a felony, and I talked to many people today with a felony, they can't get the good jobs.
Can't get the jobs.
And a lot of times out of frustration,
that's right,
they turn right back to crime and things of that nature. So this right here is very, very
exciting.
Ingenious.
It is exciting.
And this is the first year for it, or
this is year number 2.
Year number 2.
We have 200 students. We have students who are now in the 9th grade because they've been in for a full year, and then we have students who are in the 8th grade because they just came in.
Wow. Now, when you look at a town like Piscataway, will you actually find a lot of minority students that
there is
the first generation?
Let me tell you something. There is the myth all over the state.
Yes, it is.
Where people think that the Princetons and the Short Hills, all of these communities don't have poor people. They have folks. Poor people are all over the state.
Sure.
In every community. And they're living in homes where their parents are blue-collar workers.
Sure.
Never went to college. We're finding more than enough students. We cannot accept all of the students in each of these towns who are eligible to be a Rutgers Scholar.
And the reason why I guess I point that to Princeton or New Brunswick or Piscataway that way is because mainly the migration trail has been those that started out in the big cities, but moved to the Piscataway, and of course you guys you don't adopt it, but I'm going to say it anyway, Plainfields and things of that nature.
Right, so I wish we had a Rutgers in Plainfield.
We always thought, or the thinking is that you have to go to school because, you know, there's, or you should be like, by now, since the 60s, you should be like second generation college.
Right.
Because in communities like that, that don't have the large industries like Newark has and everything, don't have an airport, don't have sometime a business building over 50 floors, and we look at it, I imagine that some of the kids that live in these little towns like that, or cities, living in houses $300,000-$400,000.
Right.
So we would think that it would be pushed on you to actually go to school because you know, if you don't go to school, where are you going to live if something should happen to mother, father, or whatever?
Right.
Because you live in basically a sub-middle class life.
Right. Well, the issue, again, the myth. I have held a lot of statewide positions. I'm former Deputy Chief of Staff for Governor Corzine, the NJEA, I was a lobbyist there for 10 years, on the Casino Control Commission, and then with St. Barnabas Healthcare System, which is all of the state.
Sure.
So I've traveled this entire state, and I am amazed that some of these zip codes where everyone feels the homes are all big, they're all worth, in every town in this state, very few exceptions, you're going to find a little community, it may only be 2 or 3 streets, where the houses are not appraised at the same level as the rest of that town.
Sure.
And the people who live in them are struggling just like folks are in Newark and Camden and some of the other areas. So it's amazing to me.
It's a myth. It's a myth.
It's a myth.
Yeah.
Every town has a few of those streets.
Yeah. But you know, what we find too is that those that's living a part of that myth don't seem to.
They don't want to believe they're in it.
Right.
But they're in it. They're in it.
Without a doubt. I couldn't say no better than that right there. So you find them there and everything, and wow, this is something to actually bring the bus. Now, what color would the?
Well, our color, of course,
red.
it's red.
Has to be
and
red.
it's a big bus.
Big bus.
And it says
Is it
Rutgers right above. It's our bus.
The yellow school bus look like, or
oh no, it's like a big touring bus.
Oh wow!
It's like one of those big. I mean,
with the seats, with the high seats.
The high seats, really comfort. I mean, no, they're in grand style.
Wow!
It's a huge bus.
That's got to be a lot of motivation.
And it says Rutgers, and I loved it when that little girl said, when the neighbor said, "Where is this bus going with this bus?" And she said, "They're coming for me." They're coming.
And you know, I think that, you know, when you were raised in poverty and you come from that background, or you're trying to reach up, to have the professional touch, this college and everything, to come through there for you, means a whole lot. And I'm sure that that young lady got a lot of mental energy out of that.
Oh, you should see when they put there in here are some of our Rutgers Scholars. I just want your viewers to see. These are the Rutgers Scholars. And they put on that red t-shirt with that Rutgers logo. They're excited. They're ready. They're ready. And they're working very hard. I mean, they play hard, but this program is very intense.
Sure. The
goal is to get them at 12th grade at a level where their SAT scores are great, where their grades are great,
Sure.
and their discipline backgrounds are great, so they can be accepted as a full Rutgers student.
Okay, well, we're going to take one more break. It'll be the second segment. We'll be back. The third segment, actually, we'll be back in a moment.
Thank you.
Wow.